Hi, my name is Caitlyn Dunn, and I am currently a junior here at Marymount University, and today I'll be presenting on motivation and coaching style within collegiate athletes, focusing on a more intervention-based approach. First, I would like to consider the three different categories of motivation involving intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, and amotivation. More specifically, intrinsic motivation focuses on skill improvement and growth within the athlete, and this will be the primary emphasis of the proposed study. Intrinsic motivation fosters athletes to participate in sport in order to achieve emotions of pure enjoyment and satisfaction. Related to extrinsic motivation, this focuses more fixedly on the competitive or performance outcome rather than individual growth constructs within the athlete themselves. Within extrinsic motivation, athletes are dependent upon external rewards. Related to amotivation, this is a lack of intention to engage in sport. Amotivation is associated with feelings of incompetence and a lack of connection concerning an individual's behavior and the expected outcome. There are 6 components of intrinsic motivation, noted as perceived competence, perceived autonomy, perceived relatedness, self-determination, self-efficacy, and goal orientation. Perceived confidence relates to a task-oriented athlete who believes that subjective success is evidenced through developing skills and improving personal performance. Previous research suggests that a task-oriented goal perspective can lead to more positive and adaptive achievement behaviors. Within the domain of perceived autonomy, it is noted that adult autonomy support is related to more autonomous and intrinsic types of motivational regulations. Rachi, Garreton, Pelletier, and Sweet expressed that coaches' utilization of interpersonal behaviors promoted an increased well-being, persistence, and performance within their athletes. Related to perceived relatedness, this promotes a sense of belongingness to the entirety of a group, which fosters a notion of trust and respect among coaches and athletes alike. Self-determination is a theory proposing that intrinsic motivation derives from 3 innate growth needs: competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Self-efficacy, this domain, is where individuals act when they feel capable and able to attain the goal at hand. When the self-confidence of an athlete is high, he or she is able to intently focus on what they are executing. Goal orientation describes how task orientation fosters personal improvement. This is related to the belief that ability leads to success within the sector of sports. Related to strategies for improving motivation, the cognitive evaluation theory emphasizes the role of competence and autonomy. Specifically, it emphasizes how various factors, particularly environmental or contextual influences, impact intrinsic motivation. It also highlights the importance of good feedback on performance. This good feedback provided by coaches, teammates, etc., is linked to the ability of the athlete to control that performance. In this manner, the role of coaches and athletic leaders is imperative as it relates to the athlete's levels of intrinsic motivation. Specifically, athletes' intrinsic motivation is dependent upon the extent to which athletes perceive themselves to be competent. A study conducted by Franzen et al. In 2017 suggests that leaders' competence support positively influences athletes' competence satisfaction, motivation, and performance. Relating to preferred leadership styles. Leadership styles can either develop or halt the progressions of combined performance and psychological growth within athletes. Relating to a study conducted by Horn et al. In the year 2011, 2 traits involving motivational orientation and competitive trait anxiety were analyzed as possible predictive factors of coaching style preference. The results indicated that training and instruction and positive feedback were the preferred coaching behaviors regarding most athlete responses. Specifically, motivational orientation scores correlated to preferred coaching style scores. Within the realm of autonomous motivation, these athletes preferred a democratic leadership style. Related to amotivated and extrinsically motivated athletes, these athletes preferred an autocratic leadership style. Within the domain of coaching behavior and how this tends to affect athlete motivation, it is primarily noted that coaches maintain a vital role in ensuring that athletes reach their fullest potential by creating an ideal environment for this to occur. In this manner, coaches are able to identify players' motivational styles and employ applicable coaching approaches in a collaborative environment. It is also mentioned that the coach-athlete relationship should inspire motivation to accomplish team goals and experience success. Within this domain, there are 5 categories of coaching style involving training and instruction, democratic behavior, autocratic behavior, social support, and positive feedback. Related to training and instruction, this behavior is directed towards improving the performance of athletes. Within democratic behavior, this describes the extent to which the coach allows athletes to participate in important coaching decisions. Here, the athletes are encouraged to voice their opinions regarding pertinent issues. In terms of autocratic behavior, this relates to the authority and independent decision-making of the coach. Related to social support, this regards the coach's concern for the welfare of his or her athletes. Here, the coach emphasizes the personal needs of the athletes themselves. Positive feedback relates to the coach's behavior of reinforcing athletes while conjointly rewarding and recognizing good performances. By many regards, an autonomy-supportive coaching style is considered to be the ideal coaching style within the realm of athletics. Specifically, autonomy-supportive individuals provide as much choice as possible within specific limits and rules, provide a rationale for tasks, limits, and rules, inquire about and acknowledge others' feelings, allow opportunities to take initiatives and do independent work, provide non-controlling competence feedback, avoid overt control, guilt-inducing criticisms, controlling statements, and tangible rewards, and prevent ego involvement from taking place. Related to the autonomy-supportive coaching style, autonomy-supportive behaviors maintain a direct influence on perceptions of autonomy, competence, and relatedness, the 3 basic human needs. Also, autonomy-supportive behaviors impact the degree of intrinsic motivation within an athlete, as well as satisfying the interpersonal needs of athletes themselves. The study conducted by Amorose and Anderson-Butcher in 2007 aimed to identify whether the relationship concerning perceived autonomy support and athletes' motivational orientation is mediated by perceived competence, autonomy, and relatedness. The results indicated that the higher level these needs were, the athlete's motivational orientation exhibited that of a more self-determined category. In addition, the more autonomy supportive the athlete recorded their coach to be was positively related to higher levels within each of the 3 dimensions noted before. In terms of coaching interventions, little to no research currently exists concerning a coaching intervention and its related effect on athlete motivation relative to an autonomy-supportive coaching style. However, Renders et al. 2019 conducted an experiment to determine whether youth sport coaches can become more developed in adopting a need-supportive coaching technique by an intervention-based approach. This study also analyzed whether this specified intervention creates a positive impact regarding athletes' autonomous motivation and engagement. 3 skill-based workshops were proposed under the following questions. First, how to adopt a motivating style during training. Second, how to adopt a motivating style during competition. And finally, how to introduce and monitor rules in a motivating way. The results of this study, conducted by Renders et al. 2019, indicated that coaches within the intervention-based group reported an increase in self-reported autonomy support compared to the control group. Also, the athletes within the intervention group reported that their coach increasingly adopted an autonomy-supportive coaching style. Athletes within the intervention group also reported an increase in their autonomous motivation from pre-test to post-test as compared to the athletes in the control group. In considering the established literature, this study proposes to investigate motivational differences in athletes at selected times during the competitive season and following an intervention designed to improve coaching style that embodies autonomy-supportive characteristics. Therefore, the purpose of this research is threefold. Specifically, it is intended to determine, first, whether a more autonomy-supportive coaching style will engage athletes to become more intrinsically motivated. Secondly, whether the specified coaching intervention will successfully adapt the coach to that of a more autonomy-supportive style. And third, if athletes' perception of coaching style will alter after the intervention is employed. In order to determine an appropriate intervention-based model that targets certain areas that are recorded to be low on the compilation of questionnaires provided, an accredited sports psychologist will be utilized in order to facilitate the intervention efforts. Also, as previously mentioned, there are evidence of considerable literature gaps that exist within the realm of coaching interventions designed to improve autonomy-supportive characteristics. Therefore, this would be the most dominant reason as to why an accredited sports psychologist is going to facilitate this intervention-based approach. Related to the proposed methods of the study, this study is going to be designed as a pilot study where the subjects are comprised of the Marymount University women's lacrosse team roster. The sample size includes about 20 to 25 females aged 18 to 23 years old. As well as this, the head coach of the Marymount University women's lacrosse team will serve as the emphasis for the intervention-based program. Related to the procedures of this study, the revised leadership scale for sport, the sport motivation scale, as well as the sport climate questionnaire will be utilized within this approach. Specifically, the LSS is a widely practiced inventory utilized to measure the preferred coaching behavior of student athletes. The SMS is also a widely implemented inventory that primarily evaluates athletes' motivational orientations within the sector of their sport. Also, the SCQ is a commonly utilized inventory that assesses athletes' perception of autonomy-supportive behaviors exhibited by their coaches. In relation to the proposed statistical interpretation of this study, athletes' motivational orientation will be measured both before and after a coaching intervention is employed. Qualitative coaching characteristics will also be measured both before and after the coaching intervention is employed. The result analysis will be compiled by utilizing descriptive statistics, qualitative data, and quantitative group comparisons, such as a t-test when applicable. The hypothesized results of this proposed study include 3 points. First, as the coach begins to adapt autonomy-supportive coaching characteristics, the athletes will engage in a more intrinsically based motivational orientation. Secondly, the coaching intervention will successfully assist the coach in adopting autonomy-supportive coaching characteristics. And lastly, athletes' perceptions of their coach's leadership style will justifiably alter following the intervention-based approach towards more favorable characteristics. Thank you so much for taking this time to review my presentation. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at ckd14834@marymount.edu or comment below.